desperately need you to prove us wrong. God help us all if you fail to prove us wrong. God help us.
We are one, you and I, burning in the sun, rising in the rain, one in celebration, one in pain, one in a tragedy, one for our rights, one in search of hope, one in our fights. One beyond borders, one beyond our race,
This could be one
in the face of adversity. We are one, you and I, and it's our right to know how and why. WION, you are more connected than you know.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowon.com.
What is the India story? It's the story of the world's biggest democracy. A nation brimming with young talent, a pioneer of digital technology, and a warrior for peace in a contentious world. Every week, the India story will bring the most incisive analysis, the most authoritative voices, and the biggest newsmakers. We discuss what needs to be done to keep the India story alive, what needs to be done to take India to its true destiny. From India for the world, the India story, the show for the global citizen. With me, Vikram Chandra on WION World is One.
Reading between the lines. Deep diving into the big story of the day. From political turmoil to economic crisis. From the brazen to the bizarre in the world of technology, sports and fashion. News from Earth to outer space. We bring you the harsh ground realities, as well as the finer things from this planet and beyond. Only on fine print, at these times on WION.
Hello and welcome to this first 2023 episode of World of Africa. I'm Erik Njoka. This week we begin from the south, where a fugitive ex-leader is being hounded by his country's top court, accused of various crimes including illegal possession of firearms. We will tell you who that person is shortly, plus we talk about the role of social media in elections. The show starts right now. A Botswana court has issued an arrest warrant for former President Ian Khama, who is facing 14 charges ranging from unlawful possession of firearms to money laundering. Khama was officially charged in absentia in April 2022, but has not made a single court appearance. But what really happened to this charismatic head of state who fell out with his hand-picked successor and current President Masisi, forcing him to even flee to neighboring South Africa? Let's find out in this next report. He left office in 2018 after 2 5-year terms. His woes began almost 2 years after his exit, when his successor and Botswana's current president, Mogwetsi Masisi, promised to tackle corruption in diamond-rich Botswana, which has been seen across Africa as a beacon of stability and democracy. In 2020, allegations of money laundering and attempts to destabilize Botswana made against ex-President Ian Khama were baseless, and that's according to a British law firm, Omnia Strategy. Khama was accused alongside 2 others, a former intelligence chief and a South African businesswoman, of laundering more than $10 billion in public funds.
Our hard-earned reputation of good governance and respect for the rule of law has now been ruined as a result of a very clumsy and irresponsible conduct and actions of a regime desperate to try and legitimize itself, tarnish the reputation of those targeted, and settle petty political scores.
And now, a judge is hounding the former head of state. A court in Botswana issued an arrest warrant for former President Ian Khama for the possession of illegal firearms. The judge issued orders that Khama should be arrested on sight. He's facing 14 charges, including allegations of money laundering and handling stolen property. The warrant issued is only for the possession of 5 illegal firearms. He's jointly charged with the former heads of intelligence and police services. The arrest warrant follows Khama's failure to appear for trial earlier this year. It could pave the way for Botswana to seek his extradition from South Africa.
Personally, I and the other victims of this farce will be instituting the necessary legal action against this regime.
Khama handpicked Masisi as his replacement before he left office in 2018. But when Masisi came into power, he turned on his predecessor and his legacy. Since taking office, the current president has, among other things, controversially lifted a ban on elephant hunting imposed by Khama. In turn, Khama has accused Masisi of authoritarianism. Khama went as far as resigning from the ruling Botswana Democratic Party after Masisi was re-elected in 2019. The party was founded by his father, Seretse Khama. Khama launched a new party, the Botswana Patriotic Front, and is reportedly at the center of an opposition campaign to oust Masisi in the 2024 general elections. Khama, the son of Botswana's first president, Seretse Khama, was the 4th president of Botswana. After serving as commander of the Botswana Defense Force, Khama ventured into politics and was the vice president from 1998 to 2008, before succeeding Festus Mogae as president in 2008. Khama was re-elected in the 2009 elections. He was elected again in October 2014, leaving office 4 years later after completing 2 5-year terms. Khama left the country last year for neighboring South Africa after falling out with his successor, President Masisi. Bureau Report, World of Africa. As the 2023 general election in Nigeria draws closer, the nation's social media space is abuzz with various campaigns of the political parties. But will it really make an impact on the upcoming polls? If yes, then to what extent? WION correspondent Louisa Olaniyi finds out.
Of the over 5 billion internet users globally, Nigeria has about 109 million users. According to a January 2022 data, an online reference library, there are approximately around 32 million active social media users. This is excluding WhatsApp. The potential audience, Twitter says, their ads can reach in Nigeria is 4.25 million. With over a third of the voting population spending enormous amounts of time on social media, it is only logical that politicians take their messaging to where the people are. But with hate campaigns, cancel culture, unregulated content, players within the space are worried that this may throw the country into more civil unrest.
We all wish that we could avoid hate speeches. The candidates have all signed the peace accord, and in the spirit of that, of the letters of that peace accord, we expect that the candidates and, of course, their supporters will, keep within the tenets of that peace accord.
I think that the problem is understated because it's such a serious issue to the point where I know young people who are expressive, who want to come out and speak for their political beliefs and their political opinions, and then the fear of this cancel culture means that they are withdrawn or seemingly taken out of the conversation. They don't have what it takes to face up to the mob.
The Department of State Services has said that the spread of fake news and hate speeches on social media poses the biggest threat to 2023 general elections. However, analysts believe that social media is only an enabler, as most of young population who are also on social media might be disenfranchised due to the delay in the registration for their permanent voter cards.
Based on the social media noise and everything, I am not sure it will translate, because a whole lot of people will sit down and be speaking by mouth. Then once it comes to action, find out that quite a good number of them does not even have the PVC we are talking about. And because of the insecurity and all these things that are happening, many of them will be scared to come out that day to vote.
From that, you should analyze, you should look at performance, you should look at past antecedents before you can say, let me support so-so candidates. But a lot of people, they are just supporting based on, my friend supported, let me support, or my church member supported, or it's from my religion.
It's really going to have a lot of significant effect. If you look back into 2015 elections and 2019 elections, social media was very instrumental to bring in the current administration into power, because there were lots of, engagements. When you look at places like Twitter, where you have quite a lot of engagement among the elites.
With an upsurge in social media in the last 20 years, the political landscape of countries across the world have been affected dramatically. In Nigeria, social media has become a defining factor in the nation's electoral process, especially with young people getting more and more inclined to politics. Well, experts have highlighted the downsides to these very strong movements, as it has become an all-comers affair on social media where individuals, party ideologies and the likes are being attacked without any repercussion. Well, will all of this strong movement translate to real elections figures come February 2023? It's barely 2 months to the general elections right here in Nigeria. Only time will tell. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.
A young Kenyan artist is creating exceptional art using waste eggshells. 22-year-old Mika Obanda is part of an artist collective in Nairobi that's creating exciting ways of getting rid of regular waste. Take a look.
From a distance, these may seem like normal paintings. But if you look more closely, especially on the edges of the canvas, you may just notice certain minute twists to these pieces of art. This is the artistic creation of 22-year-old Mika Obanda, who has made dazzling mosaic pieces using eggshells that he collects from dump sites, vendors and five-star hotels. He then sun-dries and paints the shells with different colors before cutting them into shapes using a scalpel. After that, he carefully arranges the shapes on a blackboard to create paintings. Obanda's work is inspired by daily Nairobi life and women, including his mother.
I'm inspired by my street, and mostly my mother, and I try to also capture the women power because I've been raised by a single mother, so I try to capture different moments where she used to be so loving, so caring, and also how she used to work hard so as to pay for my fees and my siblings' fees.
Obanda says he grew bothered by the eyesore created by waste eggshells strewn in Mukuru neighborhoods. He was then inspired to look for an alternative way to dispose of the shells and found their texture a good candidate for creating mosaic artwork.
Most people think when they see at first sight, they think it's paper or plastic, but when I tell them it's eggshells, they are like, wow, real patience. So it's like engaging people in my work, making people come closer, making people look into more details. Yeah, and also I think it makes people even look at other arts and all the arts differently, knowing that the artist has to put in their work. Yeah.
Obanda works at Mukuru Art Collective, an initiative founded in 2010 to help young people tackle depression, social anxiety and vices such as crime and drug abuse. Working closely with Obanda is Adam Masava, a self-taught artist who paints on old cartons and iron sheets normally used for roofing. He hopes to bust certain stereotypes.
My inspiration behind making this art is to show the positivity of slum life because a coin has two sides, and normally the negative side is the one that is featured. So for me, I flip the coin, trying to show how peaceful people in slums are, how hardworking they are, and how a community it is.
Obanda sold his first art piece for $28. His prices currently range from $50 to $800. Most of his clients are in Europe, US and in Kenya. Apart from art exhibitions, he sells his products on social media platforms. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
Ghana receives around 15 million items of used clothing each week from Western countries, offloaded in bulk. Much of it passes through Accra's Kantamanto, one of the largest garment markets on the continent, where bales of used clothes are sold based on the expected quality of the garments wrapped up inside. Now, a group of vintage enthusiasts comb through rivers of important clothes, searching for gems they can resell on their Instagram pages with thousands of followers in Ghana and even abroad. Here is their story.
A second-hand pop-up in a courtyard of shipping containers in Ghana's capital, Accra. The Vintage Gala was founded by 23-year-old founders Prince Quist and James Eden Dodati, bringing together young vintage enthusiasts pushing back against the global fast fashion industry by encouraging their peers to shop second-hand.
The idea of everything right now is just to inspire everybody to shop or thrift vintage. So we are not just saying second-hand goods are second-class stuffs. So we are just trying to inspire people that shopping vintage makes recycling better.
Ghana receives around 15 million items of used clothing each week from Western countries and China. They are often offloaded in bulk, and according to the US-based Orr Foundation, around 40% of it ends up in massive urban landfills. Much of the clothing waste passes through Accra's Kantamanto, one of the largest garment markets on the continent, where bales of used clothes are sold based on the expected quality of garments. Quist and Dati would comb through rivers of imported clothes several times a week before sunrise, searching for gems they can resell on their Instagram pages.
If you wear a cloth that has been made back in a day. And you are not going to buy a new clothes, but you want to wear something that has been made previously. That way you are helping the environment by not using raw materials, using other things to reproduce.
Seaweed farming is helping to economically empower women living on Kenya's coastlines. Due to overfishing, male fishermen's incomes are decreasing, meaning the new activity is providing a welcome new source of household income. Here's a report from Kibuyuni, Kenya.
On the south coast of Kenya is the country's first seaweed farm. The nearby village has a population of some 2,500 who engage in seaweed farming from the beach. The farms are visible during low tide. For a long time, villagers viewed seaweed farming as inferior to fishing, until fish stocks started to decline due to overfishing. Seaweed farming mostly employs women who traditionally aren't allowed to engage in fishing. But now, thanks to these working women, their children don't go hungry.
This is my only source of income. It enables me to survive. I'm able to feed, wash and rest myself from this venture. My children don't have a father. I'm their mother, father, and I'm the only anchor of my family.
When my husband leaves for the high seas every morning, he sometimes gives me a little bit of money that may not be enough. I then have to supplement that with my income from seaweed farming in order to buy food from the market for my children.
Seaweed can be harvested every 45 days and is less prone to external shocks, such as lack of rainfall. The group of seaweed farmers was registered in 2012 and now boasts of 300 members. Out of these, 200 are women, 70 men, and 30 are young adults out of high school.
Farming on dry land is expensive as it requires different types of fertilizers that may be water-based and thus need to be sprayed onto plants or applied in soil. The use of chemical fertilizers has led to soil degradation, thus leading to reduced yields. Seaweed farming is the better option as you're able to reap benefits.
The yields from farming on dry land are not great since there are many challenges such as invasions from wild animals and thieves. The yields were also negatively affected by low amounts of rainfall this year.
Every farmer manages 6 crops in the ocean. Extracts from dried seaweed can be used in the cosmetic and pharmaceutical industries as well as soil fertilizer. Its high fiber content acts as a soil conditioner, while its mineral content is used as a fertilizer. Bureau Report, World of Africa.
And finally, dancers and musicians took part in a carnival in Lagos, Nigeria, called Fanti Carnival. The event is a yearly tradition usually held on the first day of the year and was inspired by former migrants who returned from Brazil to Lagos in the 19th century. Take a look. And that is a wrap on the first episode of 2023 on World of Africa. Thank you for your time and for watching. Here's to many more this year. Find us on all our social media platforms and talk to us there. We appreciate feedback. I'm Erik Njoka. I will see you on the next week's episode. Goodbye for now.
Reading between the lines. Deep diving into the big story of the day. From political turmoil to economic crisis. From the brazen to the bizarre in the world of technology, sports and fashion. News from Earth to outer space. We bring you the harsh ground realities, as well as the finer things from this planet and beyond. Only on fine print, at these times on WION. WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries.